Hey everyone, welcome back to Life in Between the Lines. I'm your host, Allison Vaughn, and this podcast is basically here to help you read in between the lines of scripture to help hear from God more and experience the Holy Spirit moving and working in your life. So, on the topic of that, today we are reading in between the lines of 1 Samuel 15. If you watched my last video, I actually planned to talk on it briefly. It wasn't supposed to be a whole episode, but I was going to share on 1 Samuel 15 in my last episode with Isaiah when we talked about obedience. But the whole topic of obedience is like following the Holy Spirit and being obedient to what he wants you to share. And even just with the podcast in general, that's always my prayer before I film, is that what the Lord wants me to share, I share. What he doesn't want me to share, I keep inside. And it's not even that I'm aware of it that often, but I just always pray that he will speak when he wants me to speak, and then there's some things that I have on my agenda that I want to share that maybe he'll be like, okay, next episode, or you just don't need it at all. So today I'm kind of building off of last episode, not building off. So if you haven't watched the last one and you're watching this, you don't need to go back. But the topic of last video was obedience and how obedience doesn't save us, but it still is a part of the Christian walk, is obeying the Lord's commands. And not only obeying the Lord's commands, but also being obedient in your daily life with what the Lord is calling you to each day. So I was looking through some passages on what to talk about for daily obedience, and I really felt called to 1 Samuel 15. And I've been like reteaching it to myself. I just kind of always, it's one of those chapters that I always go back to. I have some chapters when if I like don't know what to read in the Bible, I'm just like always going back. Like Matthew 6 is a big one, 1 Samuel 15. There's a few stories that are just like really stick out to me, and the story of Saul's disobedience and the kingdom being taken away from Saul to David in this chapter 15, it just always sticks out to me. It's like it's scary. I don't know. I love the God of the Old Testament. He's still the God of the New Testament, but it just kind of like instills like a healthy fear of the Lord into me, that like he's not playing around. And if you're not ready to live for him and be obedient and surrender your life to him when you said you were, he will strip that kingdom right from you. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's get into it. We're going to read. Unfortunately, I don't have my new Bible. I got the most gorgeous, perfect new Bible for Christmas. But you know when you get a new Bible and like you just can't find things. Like I don't have anything highlighted. I can't like find things. You know. I don't have my notes. So I'm still reading out of my old Bible. Maybe this will be the last episode of my old Bible. But I'm going to read the chapter. Maybe I'll decide how much or how little that I'll read, just so then you guys don't fall asleep on me. And then I want to talk about it. Okay, I am going to read the whole thing, but I'll read it in spurts. So starting 1 Samuel 15, verse 1. One day Samuel said to Saul, "It was the Lord who told me to anoint you as the king of his people Israel." Okay, wait, pause. Some context. So 1 Samuel, Samuel is the prophet. So prophets and God are like, they're like tight. They're like this. Like they hear from God, and they're not really the doers, but they're the messengers. So Saul right now is the anointed king of Israel. So God told Samuel to anoint Saul as king. So Saul is king right now. He is like head over Israel. And so Samuel gets directions from the Lord, and then he kind of relays it on to Saul. So like Samuel needs to be protected at all costs because he's like the secret sauce. And then Saul is also like, he's the face of Israel. He's the king. Okay. Starting back up at verse 1. One day Samuel said to Saul, "It was the Lord who told me to anoint you as king of his people Israel. Now listen to this message from the Lord. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies has declared. I have decided to settle accounts with the nation of Amalek for opposing Israel when they came to Egypt. Now go and completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation, men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys." So Saul mobilized his army at Telaim. There were 200,000 soldiers from Israel and 10,000 men from Judah. Then Saul and his army went to a town of the Amalekites and lay in wait in the valley. Saul sent this warning to the Kenites: "Move away from where the Amalekites live, or you will die with them, for you showed kindness to all people of Israel when they came up from Egypt." So the Kenites packed up and left. Then Saul slaughtered the Amalekites from Havilah all the way to Shur, east of Egypt. He captured Agag, the Amalekite king, but completely destroyed everyone else. Saul and his men spared Agag's life and the best of the sheep and the goats, the cattle, the fat calves, and the lambs. Everything, in fact, that appealed to them. They destroyed only what was worthless or of poor quality. Okay, so sometimes I will read something and I don't even know what I read. So if that's you, I'm going to break it down a little. Oh, I lost my place. Okay, I'm going to break it down a little bit. So, like I said, Saul, king of Israel. So Samuel hears from the Lord, and the Lord's like, all right, I'm ready to destroy my enemies, rightfully so. The Lord gives orders to Samuel to relay onto Saul, and he's saying, I'm going to give you victory over the Amalekite nation. I want you to completely destroy the Amalekite nation. Everyone. Don't leave anything left behind. So Saul is like, okay. He apparently is like, okay. He rounds up the troops. We don't hear Saul's response, but we see in action that he's like ready to do it. So he's obeying the Lord. This is good to know. So when we talk about disobedience, there has to first be a command to either obey or disobey. Is that even a word? I don't know. But it's important because what even is obedience if you don't know what you're being obedient to? So 1 Samuel 15, verse 3, that's the command that Saul later decides to disobey, but that's the obedient question. You have to hear from the Lord first, which is written all over this book, and then also he can speak to you directly. So just if you're wondering, like, well, what am I even being obedient to? What do you mean? Well, you're being obedient to the Lord and what he tells you to do, either written in scripture or like personally what he tells you. So he says, go and completely destroy the Amalekite nation. Okay, so Saul rounds up his people. He gets 200,000 soldiers from Israel, 10,000 men from Judah. He's got a good little army going. And he sends warning to, I guess, his friends. He's like, you know what? I'm about to destroy the Amalekites. You guys were kind to us. You showed kindness to the people of Israel when we came up from Egypt. So I need you guys to leave or you're going to get destroyed as well. So that shows us Saul's ready. He's ready to carry out the command. He's ready to do it. So, verse 7, if we read quickly, we'll think that he did it. But, verse 7, then Saul slaughtered the Amalekites from Havilah all the way to Shur, east of Egypt. Good. He captured Agag, the Amalekite king, but completely destroyed everyone else. Okay, wait. So, the Lord tells you, destroy all of the Amalekites. Wouldn't that especially be the king? That would especially mean the king. But instead of just destroying the king and offing him, he captures him. So he's like, he took him hostage. I'm just thinking of him like covering his head up with like a little paper bag and you're out of here. So he captures the king, but destroys everyone else. Weird, sus. Saul and his men spared Agag's life. Okay, Agag, the king of the Amalekites, they spare his life. That's disobedient. And kept the best of the sheep, goats, the cattle, the fat calves, and the lambs. Everything, in fact, that appealed to them. Oh, okay. So then now we start to see where Saul's head is at. So you tell me to go destroy everything. I'm actually going to keep the king. I'm going to capture the king. And then only the best of everything, the best sheep, the best goats, the best cattle, the best calves, the best lambs. I'm going to actually keep everything that appeals to me. So it is actually way disobedient. Like sometimes I think I read this for the first time, didn't catch anything. I'm like, good job, Saul. No, we just need to read a little more in between the lines. He kept what appealed to him. He did not do what the Lord said. And then this last sentence, they destroyed only what was worthless or of poor quality. So this really shows us the heart of Saul. When the Lord says destroy everything, Saul decides to destroy what is right in his eyes. Before we go on any further, I'm going to give a little analogy because, you know, I love my analogies. That's how I really understand the Bible is when I ask God, I'm like, put it in my world. Put it in my world. Like, I'm not a soldier. I don't do war. I don't do this stuff. And a lot of the Old Testament is about like the kingdom of Israel, obviously. And so I always ask God to like put it in my terms, ways that I will understand. And I understand sports. And I know a lot of people have either played a sport or you're currently an athlete. So I hope that this resonates with you too. Okay. Imagine this. You're on a basketball team. Okay. The sport is basketball. And Saul is your MVP. So you're on your little church basketball league. And you're kind of nobodies. Like, you guys aren't doing well. And Saul is your MVP. Or, I don't know, Saul, you will be Saul. So God has anointed you as, like, the best player, the MVP of your team. Okay, cool. Season's going well. actually season's going not well. But you know what God says? I'm going to take you to the NBA Finals. And guess what? You're going to win. I'm gonna give you victory in the NBA Finals, and guess who you're going to play? We're going to go all the way back to 1995-96 season. You're going to play none other but the Chicago Bulls. And God says you're about to win, and this is the team. Like, this is the team. So you're playing against Michael Jordan. You're playing against Scottie Pippen. You're playing against Dennis Rodman. You're playing against the 96 Bulls. And God says your little church basketball league is going to win. So, okay. So this is like God. He's like, you know what? I've decided it's over for the Bulls. I'm ready for my team to come in. Like, the Bulls are my enemies. We're going to take them down. You're on my team, this church league that you're on. You're MVP. This would be Saul. He's like, okay, go and wipe them out. Break all their ankles. Destroy them. And God's got this big play at the end where he's like, you're actually going to dunk on Jordan. You're going to posterize Michael Jordan. And so you're like, bet. I'm so ready for this, God. Okay. So you tell everyone, you're like, get ready. Like, you're going to want to watch this game. We're about to go beat up the Bulls. Okay. So then you get into the game. And this is like you taking Michael Jordan right when the game starts. You just capture him. You tie him up and you put him on the bench. Like, why would you do that? If God says, I'm going to give you victory over the Bulls, you guys are going to win, it's going to be a legendary game, you're about to beat the best team ever, and you take the best player out and you put him on the bench, it's like, what? The Lord said, like, you're literally going to dunk on him. Like, the Lord was going to give you victory over Michael Jordan, like, and you were going to have this big play where you actually cross him up. That would have been amazing. But you, like, round him up, you put him on the bench, you, like, handcuff him, whatever, sit him down, and you, like, refuse to play against him. Weird. That's like Agag. So think of King Agag as, like, Michael Jordan. It's like, why are you, if the Lord has given you victory, that's the MVP, why are you not playing him? Why are you putting him on the bench? Not only do they spare his life, not only do you decide to, like, spare Michael Jordan the embarrassment of crossing him up, then you take Pippen and Rodman, which would be like the sheep and the goats, the cattle, the best of everything else, and you actually put them on your team. Like, you tie them up and put them on your bench. It's like, what? You put in their worst players. You bring in, like, obviously any NBA player could beat your basketball league, but it's like you just substitute the Bulls and you play, like, the church league down the street and you beat them. And it's like, this is not what it was supposed to be. Like, the Lord is about to give you victory over the 96 Bulls, and you decide to just take matters in your own hands, and it's this, like, lesser, not as cool victory. It's like you didn't even, like, what are we doing here? Keep that picture in mind. Okay. So going back to the Bible, 1 Samuel 15, going to verse 10. Then the Lord said to Samuel, I am sorry that I ever made Saul king, for he has not been loyal to me and has refused to obey my command. Like, that's like the Lord watching this game and being like, bro, I'm sorry that I ever even made you the MVP, because what was that? I'm sorry that I ever made Saul king. What was that? He was not loyal to me and he refused to obey my command. And that's what's so frustrating with the Lord, is like, his commands benefit us. Like, he was trying to give Saul victory and he disobeyed him. Anyways, Samuel was so deeply moved when he heard this that he cried out to the Lord all night. Early the next morning, Samuel went to find Saul. Someone told him Saul went to the town of Carmel to set up a monument to himself, then went on to Gilgal. So Saul's, like, literally makes a monument of himself after this victory. That's like you now putting up a monument of yourself, like giving yourself the Heisman. I don't know what the, like, basketball award is, but making a monument of yourself after you beat this, like, lame team. Like, that's embarrassing. Also, thought we were giving God glory. Red flag number, like, 50. Okay. When Samuel finally found him, Saul greeted him cheerfully. May the Lord bless you, he said. I have carried out the Lord's command. No, you haven't. And Samuel goes, then what's all this bleating of the sheep and goats and the lowing of the cattle I hear? So that's like you walking up after this win of this game, and you're like, I've carried out the Lord's command. It's like, anyone with eyes knows that you haven't. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I love Samuel's response. He's like, then what's all this in the background? I can hear the sheep, I can hear the goats, like, I can hear the cattle, like, What do you mean you destroyed everyone when I hear this stuff? It's true that the army spared the best of the sheep, goats, and cattle, Saul admitted. But they are going to sacrifice them to the Lord your God. We've destroyed everything else. So remember when I said that you put like Pippin and Rodman on your bench? It's like, okay, the Lord says, cross them up, beat them, destroy them. And you take them and you try to put them on your team. And the Lord's like, that's not what I asked. So Samuel's like, you said you destroyed everything. I can hear these goats in the back. I can see them. Like, what? You did not? And he's like, no. I actually brought them back because we're going to sacrifice them to the Lord. So Saul's like, I actually had a better plan than what God said. So that's like you being like, no, I actually decided I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them on my team. Yeah, but wouldn't it be better to beat them than to have them join you? Like, if you can't beat them, join them. You just did that for them. Like, he was ready to have you beat this team, beat the Bulls. And instead, you took out their best players. You didn't even play against them. And then you have this, like, sorry victory. Like, it doesn't make any sense what Saul is doing here. Like, our disobedience just makes no sense. It's pride just being like, I know better. My plans are better. Because we don't disobey the Lord because we hate the Lord. But we just think, I know better. I think I know that my plan is better than God's. Whew. Okay, verse 16. Then Samuel said to Saul, stop. Listen to what the Lord told me last night. What did he tell you? Saul asked. And Samuel told him, although you may think little of yourself, are you not the leader of the tribes of Israel? The Lord has anointed you king of Israel. And the Lord sent you on a mission and told you, go and completely destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, until they are all dead. Why haven't you obeyed the Lord? Why did you rush for the plunder and do what was evil in the Lord's sight? So Samuel's just reminding Saul, like, I know you may think little of yourself, but are you not the leader of all the tribes of Israel? The Lord has anointed you king. What an honor that the Lord has made you MVP of your basketball team. What an honor. And if I go tell you, go and take out this team, go beat this team, I'm going to give you victory in the finals. Why are you disobeying him? Why are you rushing to go disobey him? Why do you think your plans are better? This is what Saul says. But I did obey the Lord, Saul insisted. I carried out the mission he gave me. Sometimes we can really brainwash ourselves into thinking that we are obedient when we know we are not. Saul says, I brought back King Agag, but I destroyed everything else. Then my troops brought in the best of the sheep, goats, cattle, and plunder to sacrifice to the Lord your God in Gilgal. Like, where in that is he carrying out the mission that the Lord gave him? He's like, no, I did. I just brought back Michael Jordan. I just, like, brought back the best player and their other two, like, best players. But, like, I beat everyone else. It's like, that doesn't matter. The reason why they're the 96 Bulls is because of those three. So when you take those three out, it's like, God's like, I wanted you to destroy this nation. I was giving you victory over them. And you decide to take out only what appeals to you and only destroy what is worthless to you. That's not much of a victory at all. Like, that doesn't glorify the Lord, because if everything that we're doing is to glorify the Lord, if Saul is fighting on behalf of the Lord, he's making God look bad. God's head over everything. He's supreme over everything. It's not hard to him. So why do we think we have to go about this, like, roundabout way to make it better? In verse 22, we have Samuel's reply to Saul's little, vouching for himself. But Samuel replied, what is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. Rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. Ouch. That's a big deal. He gets the whole kingdom of Israel taken from him because of his disobedience. But pulling us back to verse 22, I'm sure maybe you've heard that before, just the phrase, obedience is better than sacrifice. Well, this is where it's found in the Bible. I always heard that, and it sounds good, but I didn't really know exactly what it meant. I was like, okay, good. And now reading it in the context, it makes so much sense, and I think we can agree. Because, like, that was something that I didn't, like, truly agree with, but I was just like, okay, I guess, like, obedience is better than sacrifice. Like, I just kind of took it as a fact. But now I understand and I agree, because if we look at the context, so they're talking about Saul decided to keep, when God asked Saul to destroy all of the sheep, goats, cattle, the rams, everything, Saul decides to keep them for himself and to sacrifice them to the Lord. So at first glance, we can be like, oh, that's nice of Saul. He's trying to make an offering to the Lord, but he's making an offering in disobedience. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing that? And so when Samuel says that obedience is better than sacrifice, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about the Lord doesn't want you to sacrifice things for him, and that if you find yourself sacrificing, that means that you were disobedient. Because that's kind of what I thought. I thought if I'm in a place where I'm finding myself sacrificing to the Lord, then I must have had some disobedience, like pull me into that direction. But no, God is saying like God through Samuel, when the Lord has given you a command, be obedient to that command. Stop trying to take matters into your own hands and try to do something for the Lord that he doesn't even want you to do, and that causes you to be disobedient. So the Lord would have just rather him slaughtered all the animals. Like, he doesn't need these burnt offerings. And it's just, one, it's irrelevant. Like, why are you doing that, Saul? And two, it's prideful. Thinking that now you're going to please the Lord. It's just, if we actually think from God's perspective, if he asks you to throw it out, like take it away, kill them, and you're like, no, I'm actually going to like sacrifice them to you. Like, oh, I have a better idea. I'm going to sacrifice them to you. Does Saul really think the Lord's going to be like, oh, thank you, Saul. Like, I like that idea better. Like, oh, thank you for this sacrifice, this pleasing aroma. Like, we're not going to change God's mind. He always knew from the beginning what was best, and he'd much rather us just obey what he said because he has his reasons for everything. So what is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? We hear it here. Obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. So when it says the second part of submission is better than offering the fat of rams, that shows us Saul's heart behind this sacrifice. So that means he was not submitting to God's voice and God's plan of just originally killing the cattle, or the fat of rams, everything. His submission would have been better than him just offering the fat of rams. But instead, he did not submit. He put himself above God. He put his thoughts above God. He thought his plan was better than God's. He didn't submit to what the Lord said, but elevated himself above the Lord and said, no, I'm actually going to burn these sacrifices to God. This will be better. So it's just the pride in thinking that our plan is better and that we know better than the Lord, when that's just not true. And then in verse 23, it says, rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. I just kind of think of, like, obviously it's hard for me with, like, the animal sacrifices, just fully understanding because I don't live in that time. But I'm just thinking of, like, if I ask someone to throw away my trash, I don't know if this is, like, a great analogy because the Lord does, like, sacrifices to the Lord. He did say that sacrifices of, like, fattened calves and sheep, like, they were required back then. So it's not like this is totally crazy and we're like, Saul, where in the world are you getting this from? That did please the Lord in its context as an atonement for sin. But right here, it just doesn't make sense because it's going against what the Lord says. So anyways, I'm just thinking of, like, if I actually, okay, it's the new year. We did a little fridge clean out. My trash bag yesterday was just filled with, like, food, but just expired food and, like, sauces, random condiments, and I was like, it's time to go. So that's like me having this trash can filled with, like, technically food. Like, the jars aren't empty, but it's expired. It's not good. And that's like me asking my roommate to go take this trash out that's, like, filled with all this food or whatever. I'll be like, just throw it away at the dumpster downstairs, whatever. And that's like her seeping through the dumpster, throwing out what is irrelevant to her, so, like, the trash, the no food, that's when the Saul just slaughtered, like, everything that was worthless to him, but then taking out the good stuff that she likes, like, so there was some good food in there, but it just was expired, and that's like her taking out the good food that was good but is now expired and, like, not really edible. That's like her taking it out, throwing away what is actually trash, and then her just trying to take out from the trash what she thinks is good or of worth to her. And then me being like, wait, I thought I asked you to take it out. Like, why is it back in our fridge? And her be like, oh, I was going to cook you a meal with it. It's like, no, I wanted you to throw that out because it's of no use to me anymore. Or I had my reasons. It's expired. I don't want it. You make me a meal with this, I'm going to get sick. And I don't know the Lord's reasons for why he asked Saul to like completely wipe out the Amalekite nation, because like the sheep and the goats and whatever, like they're not like evil. But I've heard, I don't want to like say this as truth. I should probably brush up on this, but I've heard that the Amalekites were a symbol. Not that this isn't like historically true. This is true, but still like everything is symbolic in the Bible. The Amalekites, I heard, were they stood for like secret sin in our lives. So when the Lord is asking Saul to like completely wipe out the Amalekite nation, they were like the sinners. And when Saul decides to wipe out the Amalekite nation, or decides not to, it's like he's still keeping alive the secret sin in his life. And he's taking out the easy stuff. He's like, well, this is stuff I'm willing to give up for the Lord. Maybe I'm willing to give up the drinking. Maybe I'm willing to give up the cussing. Maybe I'm willing to give up all the partying and all this stuff, but I'm not willing to give up the pride. Some of the things that we find harder to give up to the Lord, that's the secret sin that's dwelling in us. And I don't know this for a fact, but like take it with a grain of salt and do your own studying, and I'll do my own studying. But I've just heard that that's what the Amalekites kind of represented, and Saul is refusing to take out all of the secret sin. So that's one of my guesstimates as to why, because right now I'm like, does it really matter if he wipes them out? I don't know. It's not explicitly said, but the Lord just doesn't do anything for no reason. So he has his reasons why he wanted Saul to wipe out everything, just like I had my reasons why I would want to throw away everything, even if it seemed like it was of use and worth and we could make a good meal out of it. It's expired. My tummy's going to hurt. So like, no thanks. You're trying to do something nice for me that's not even going to work. And that's probably how God is thinking, like, you're trying to do this for me. First of all, he wasn't really trying to do it for the Lord. Like, Saul was just like very prideful. He wasn't really submitted to the Lord. So one, it's like, you're trying to sacrifice to me. He's like, I know your heart. I know what you're doing. Like, you couldn't care less about me. Anyways, I hope this gives you a better understanding, because sometimes we can read the stories in the Bible and we just don't relate to it at all. Like, I'm not a king. I live in America. I'm not in the Middle East. I'm not in war. I'm not a boy. I'm not a king. I don't sacrifice animals. Like, none of it relates, but it all relates. And we can just ask God to kind of like put it into our words, not like change the Bible by any means, but give me something that speaks to me in my situation that reveals this story in a more personal way. I think that's a really good prayer to have. Okay, gonna finish up. We've got two more like little sections. Okay, verse 24. Then Saul admitted to Samuel, yes, I have sinned. I have disobeyed your instructions and the Lord's command, for I was afraid of the people and did what they demanded. But now, please forgive my sin and come back with me, that I may worship the Lord. But Samuel replied, I will not go back with you. Since you have rejected the Lord's command, he has rejected you as king of Israel. Saul is so us. Saul knew he did what was wrong. He knew that he pursued his own interests instead of just obeying what the Lord said to do. And he was not repentant at all. He actually built a monument for himself after. So it's like, bruh. He was not repentant and didn't ask for forgiveness until Samuel straight up says, because you've rejected the command of the Lord, he's rejected you as king. He didn't turn away until the Lord stripped his kingdom from him. And so now Saul's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I've sinned. Like, please, like, forgive me. I want to go and worship the Lord. And Samuel's like, no, I'm not going with you. Like, you've rejected the Lord and he's rejected you. Like, the Lord's only doing what you did to him first. So, but that's just so common in our lives. It's like, until the Lord really punishes us, we don't turn from our sin. And we just keep going with our ways. Like, we need God's discipline. We need it so bad, or we don't know when we're astray, or we know, but we just think we can get by with it. But like, the Lord is not playing around, especially with his chosen people, with Israel. Like, he is not playing around. He wants a king that is submitted to him, ready to do the will of him, ready to obey his commands. Like, he's asking for one person to lead his people and have his heart set on him. And if Saul's not willing to do it, he's going to hand the kingdom over. Like, you would do it too if you were God. But it sucks when we find ourselves in Saul's position, because we're sorry after the fact, but there were so many choices, so many wrong heart postures and motives, and just like, you could have turned so much sooner, but a lot of times we're a little too late. So I'm just here to encourage you to like, go to God every day. Ask him to search your heart every day. Don't wait until you feel the consequences of your sin to then return back to the Lord, but be the one that pursues him and that turns your heart to him and doesn't wait for God to slap you on the wrist to be like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Like, do it first. Doesn't that show God how much your heart is really set on him and how much you love him and really strive to do what's right in his eyes and for others? I think so. Okay. Verse 27. As Samuel turned to go, Saul tried to hold him back, and he tore the hem of his robe. And Samuel said to him, The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today and has given it to someone else, one who is better than you. And he who is the glory of Israel will not lie, nor will he change his mind, for he is not human that he should change his mind. Then Saul pleaded again, I know I have sinned, but please at least honor me before the elders of my people and before Israel by coming back with me so that I may worship the Lord your God. So Samuel finally agreed and went back with him, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Good. Okay, now going down to verse 32, the last couple verses. Then Samuel said, Bring King Agag to me. Agag arrived full of hope, for he thought, surely the worst is over and I have been spared. Because, when he was supposed to get killed, Saul spared his life and just kind of captured him. So now he's just this little hostage, I guess. And Samuel's like, all right, bring him to me. Agag's like, whew, okay, hopefully I'll be released. He thinks the worst is over. But Samuel said, as your sword has killed the sons of many mothers, now your mother will be childless. That's tough. And Samuel cut Agag to pieces before the Lord at Gilgal. Then Samuel went home to Ramah, and Saul returned to his house at Gibeah of Saul. Samuel never went to meet with Saul again, but he mourned constantly for him, and the Lord was sorry he had ever made Saul king of Israel. Honestly, as gruesome as it is, I love that this part is included. First of all, I feel like so I saw the animated movie David, and it talks about, it tells the story of Saul. Okay, because spoiler alert, when Saul loses the kingdom, David gains it. So when God says he's going to hand the kingdom over to someone better, it's King David. And in the movie, they talk about this. And I understand that it's a kid's movie. I'm not trying to be too picky, but sometimes just people make God look soft. People make God and Jesus look really soft. And if you ever read the Bible, God is not soft. I don't know. There were just a few things. And again, I know that it's a children's movie, but there were a few things that weren't biblically accurate. Or they just didn't want to show that they left out, that I'm I wish that they would keep, or not that I wish that they would keep it in. I don't know. Low-key, some of it was scary. The Amalekites were scary in the movie to me. But anyways, Samuel finishes the job here, which is crazy. Not crazy, but it's just okay, God, you're still not playing around. He's like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to get someone else to do it. I'm still thinking of Michael Jordan. We'll put it more PG, more kiddie. But Michael Jordan's still sitting on the bench, tied up, captured. So I'm going to put him in and I'm going to cross him up. God wanted this done. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to get someone else to do it. And this just goes, this principle stands, even with non-gruesome things like executing a king. But even an idea and your gifts and talents, God has gifted you with amazing ideas and plans. And if you don't do it, he's going to give it to someone else. That idea is going to leave your mind and go to someone else who's ready and willing to do it. And if he has given you a talent and you are doing nothing with it, you might get stripped of that talent and he may give it to someone else. He will hand the kingdom over. And I know we're not kings and queens of a whole country, but the principle still stands. If you're not willing to do it, he's going to give it to someone who is. Because we can't be so prideful to think that, oh, I just came up with this amazing idea. Oh, I just have this new idea on how to do this. And oh, I just think we are not original. We can't do that. God is gifting us with everything. He's gifted you with all these abilities, all these ideas, all of these strategies. He gives you everything, and he puts it in your hands and in your heart and in your head, and he asks you, what are you going to do with it? And if you decide to do nothing with it, he's going to hand it over. He's going to hand over the kingdom to David, and he's going to let Samuel finish the job if you're not going to do it. And just don't get caught being Saul, basically. Don't get caught being Saul. So what can we learn from this? We can learn a lot, and hopefully you've learned a few things as I've been speaking. I think one of the big things that I can take from this is just doing it right the first time. And this is a life principle, but obviously it comes from the Bible. Obedience is better than sacrifice. He'd rather you just do it right the first time. Just obey him. The sacrifice it's not going to be what we think it is. Just obey God the first time. And I think we'll see how much fruit that opens up and how much blessing that opens up when we just obey God the first time, because choosing to obey him first is just us submitting under him and being like, yeah, you were right. Like, I don't even need to try to do it my own way. I don't need to try to tweak it and make it different. I'm going to do what you say, because even if it doesn't make sense to me, I understand that I can only see this far ahead and I can only understand this much. So God may be asking you to do something that doesn't make any sense, but that's step one into his whole process of everything coming together. So just doing it right the first time. That's one of my biggest things that I took away from it. And I would encourage you to just like take this story, read it. I mean, I know I kind of like chopped it up and stopped, but maybe now you can go through and read 1 Samuel 15 and it'll make sense. But reading it all the way through will definitely help, just like everything makes sense and fall into place. And then just see where God shows up for you, how you learn something new about him, what you can apply to your life currently, maybe a situation that you're going through, or just like a principle that was shared in this chapter that you can take and apply to your daily life. I think can be really helpful. Oh, okay, I have this written. I totally forgot to say this. Just one more thing, one more little tidbit. On the topic of obedience is better than sacrifice, sometimes the obedient thing is to sacrifice. So don't think that they're mutually exclusive, that it's either obedience or sacrifice. Sometimes the Lord is asking you to sacrifice, and that is your way of being obedient. You have to remember the context of it. So it's with, the cattle and the rams and the fattened calves. Instead of killing it off like the Lord said, he tries to sacrifice it to the Lord, and he's like, no, like, sometimes the obedient thing is to sacrifice. Sometimes he will say, hey, take this ram and sacrifice it to me. That's obedience. So it's either obedience or sacrifice. Sometimes the obedient thing is to sacrifice. Sometimes the Lord is asking you to sacrifice this thing, and you're obedient by doing it, and you're disobedient by continuing to keep it alive in your life. Okay, so that was really it. I just wanted to add that more because it was in my notes, and if I didn't share it now, I don't know when I was ever going to share it. So yeah, thanks for coming along today. I hope you had fun reading in between the lines, and I'll talk to you next week. I might have another guest next week. I'm sure you can guess who it is, but I'm excited to talk to you next week. Bye.